Trigger warning, this episode contains talk of knife play, blood play, and BDSM things that are a little darker.
It's called smut. Give me smut and nothing but a dirty novel I can't shut if it's uncut and unsut.
If you can find out where hockey players hang out, I would like to go to those bars. And she said, well, hockey players are missing teeth. And I said, yeah, they have fake teeth, though.
Yeah.
They put in fake teeth.
And we only know that because you were deeply affected by that scene in
In
Shoresy.
Shoresy, when they take out their teeth.
Is there any reason to assume that Jenny would know where hockey players hang out other than Minnesota?
No.
Great.
She's
I
going to
just
find
wanted
out for
to
me, though.
clear that up.
Sean, get it together, Sean.
I know, but it's a big state.
And
guys.
welcome to Femmes Reading Phil. I'm Emily.
I'm Jess.
Can you not scream into the microphone?
I was grabbing my wine.
That's fine. And we're joined by our season 1 guest.
I'm Sean. We're going to get that eventually.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
It's great.
Hey, today's our first actual episode.
Yeah.
Our first episode, not an intro, not an intro.
Yeah. How are we feeling, gang?
I'm just happy to be here.
Really?
Yeah, I'm thrilled to be here.
We're talking about knife play.
Yeah, I'm thrilled.
And I think it's gonna get dark.
And I love that.
be
I
honest.
think that's everyone's vibe right now.
Yeah, I agree with
I
that.
also love dark shit, so I'm happy.
You do?
I love dark
I
shit.
love dark shit.
Listener, Sean is.
Yeah, if you don't know Sean Buckley, literally I described her once as a ray of sunshine.
She is my brightest, shiniest friend.
If we were witches, she'd be a prairie witch.
And so to
Thank
hear
you.
her say,
I
I
love
love
dark
dark shit.
is shocking.
Fantastic, but shocking.
I feel like people always know this about me, that I'm the one that like shocks people because I'll make a really dark joke about like the death of someone, and then everyone's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, that's what goes on in my mind.
Right. Well, there is that, what is it? The phrase, like, it's always the quiet ones.
Exactly.
That get you.
That are the kinkiest motherfuckers.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely not kinky. I can say that for certain.
I
In my
bet.
real life,
I
I'm
bet
not.
by the end of this season, you'll have gone like, maybe I am.
I'll come back next week and be like, the knife play went great.
Jesus. So Sean asked for her first topic for this season to be about knife play.
I figured I should throw you guys into the deep end.
Yeah.
No, we appreciate it.
I looked it up. Jess looked it up to get the like textbook Webster's definition. So do you wanna? You have your phone out. I'm assuming you wanna say it.
So knife play, and this is straight from the Wikipedia page if you want to do your own research.
I did that too.
But knife play is a form of consensual BDSM edge play. Do you guys know what edge play is?
Yes.
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Edge play is basically anything in the BDSM world that skirts the edge of the safe, sane, consensual mantra that people like to use.
Oh, see,
So
I
if
thought it was different.
I thought it was
Edging.
different as well.
I thought it was like
edging.
edging.
Yep.
Yes. So edging
I
is a different
apologize.
thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, edge play is something that could be considered a little more risky.
Okay.
And even if you have the safe, sane, consensual conversations,
There's
is
still risks.
by nature still risky because it is sharp.
Oh, that makes. I feel like they need to pick a different word because edging is a
Well, I'm
literal
sure
thing.
is edging part of edge play.
No.
No, it's not.
Because
That's
people
why.
don't. It could be like it could be dubious consent to edge play
It could.
if
but
you're expecting something and you get denied it.
that's fair, but I think the reason knife play is edge play is because there's literally a chance
Yeah.
that you will be
There's a
physically harmed
sharp edge.
despite like the best intentions of anybody involved. Like even if you're really good at it, you've done it a lot, you're consenting, all that stuff, things could conceivably go wrong, and by doing it you are taking on those risks.
I'm relieved you also thought it was edging because I was like, oh no, I'm a fool.
Do you want to finish the definition? Sorry, my bad.
So, consensual edge play involving knives, daggers, and swords and other sharp objects as a source of physical and mental stimulation. Knives are typically used to cut away clothing, scratch the skin, remove wax after wax play, or simply provide sensual stimulation. Knife play can also be a form of temperature play or body modification. And so,
The last thing it does say too,
Oh,
I wrote it down too. The last thing it says is it's very big in fear play, which goes along with edge play.
That makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. So it's big on kind of bumping up those feelings in order to enhance the other feelings that you hopefully are having during sexual conversations.
I will say I looked up every form I could of knife play throughout literature, knife play history, because I'm trying to find when was the first time this was probably written about, and
Right.
I'm sure there's something. I could not find anything, but the one thing that did keep coming up was the toy bags Guide to Erotic Knife Play. That was published in 2005. It's like a little booklet all on knife play. So that might have been like one of the first, if not the first, like full on written things about it, like what it is, where to do it, how to do it, beep boop bap. So yeah.
And all that to say that we are not kink experts by any means.
No.
We are not practitioners. We are talking about this purely from like a fantasy, enjoying reading
all in
about
fiction.
it.
Yes, we do not we are not telling someone to do this.
Yes.
God, no,
Yes,
no.
we are not. And if this is a bug that gets in your ear and you are interested in this in your life, I highly recommend you do some reading. You even take some classes. There are classes
we'll
out
provide
there.
some links probably at the end. We have a link tree coming
Yeah.
our way of any like recommendation that we say in these episodes. So we can put up like a link to a BDSM site that kind of explains it more thoroughly.
Definitely, yeah. Like, even if it sounds really fun when we're talking about it, definitely a good idea to
Don't just grab a knife and get at it.
be educated about it, because and that's one of the things I'll talk about in the story I picked. I really appreciated that they properly sanitized everything.
Yeah, that was not the case in mine.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Right.
But I know you have a lot to discuss. Do you want to go first?
Do you want me to start? Well, so first, I actually wanted to ask Sean, since you picked
It's coming, Jen.
this.
Do you have a question?
Like, so we already talked about the definition a little bit, but like, what is your understanding of how knife play shows up?
So truly no idea. I mean, the cutting off of clothes makes sense. The like, I guess like I could see it like grazing the skin. I think that makes sense. Temperature play was not something I expected, and that fascinates me. And then I can't really fathom how it works in terms of actually cutting a person. That doesn't make sense to me, and that's what I'd love to learn more about. But like the cutting of clothes and stuff, I was like, oh, okay, like I could see that being very fun and like flirty. But once it gets to the skin, no ideas.
Right. Yeah. And I think that goes along with some of the stuff that I came upon was like a lot of like marking and that kind of thing as a
Same. Very possessive
As a-
nature,
yeah.
like ownership type of stuff. I'll get it, like when it comes to me, I'll get into temperature play.
Okay.
When it comes to knife play. Temperature play? Temperature when it comes to knife play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sensation play.
Sensation.
Generally. Is what
It's a sensation.
It's a sensation. So I guess to get into the fanfic of it all, actually,
Let 'em see
that reminds me
behind
of
the
another question that I had for Sean, or actually more for Emily. But
Okay.
so I feel like, Sean, you said that you picked knife play because it's an example that Emily and I consistently throw out.
Yes.
As a not a weird thing, but an oddity of
A more extreme. Yeah.
yes. And so I was trying to figure out for myself while researching for this episode
Why we say
why we always pick knife play as the thing.
It was me.
Was it you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm 98% sure I had read a Kindle Unlimited, which I believe I will be touching on today. It is not what I read for today.
Okay.
But I will touch upon it when it gets to me. And I was so shocked.
Yeah. I remember that.
It was like one of the first books it was one of the first Kindle Unlimiteds that I read that there was something that was more than just like hardcore stuff. Like there was a literal
Weapon.
a weapon
Yeah.
used. Yeah.
Right.
And I had never read that. I'd never come across that. And I was like scandalized.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
remember
oh my God, like how did someone even think of that? Two, like, do people like that? And again, hashtag no kink shaming. Like I don't care what anyone likes or doesn't like, but I was just so curious. And then I think
It was
I brought
a brand
it up.
new concept.
It was a brand
for
new
you.
concept. I brought it up to you, and it kind of just stuck and that's like my basis of like, that is the crossover from like a hardcore hockey romance where it's against the glass in the locker room and anyone could walk in. Like exhibitionism is fine with me, but like, oh, knife play, now we've stepped into a whole new world. This is a darker realm. This
Yeah.
is the multiverse. No, this is something. Sorry, Marvel. This is something.
I
Right.
think it also kind of became, from my memory of what you guys have talked about, like almost a comparison point. Like I remember you talking about one that you were like, I preferred the knife play to this.
Oh yeah.
Like because
Oh.
it was not your thing.
Because I think that was in reference to gunplay.
yes, yes.
And
it
I
was.
said, I'd rather read a knife play scene than a gunplay scene.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
know what? Maybe we'll come across that
Who
in a future
knows?
episode.
We might.
But
yeah,
I-
no, I think my reaction when you brought that up to me and you were very scandalized was, yeah. I've been reading that for years.
Oh, how so much has changed in months, in almost a year. I would say, I think it was probably back in
Yeah.
like November when I really started going hard. November of 2021, everyone just so they know. And it is right now as we were filming, it is July 2022.
It is. Time sure is a thing. Okay, so yeah, I was just curious. I wanted to throw that to us because I do feel like knife play for some reason comes up a lot.
does, yeah.
And I wanted to explore that. But anyway, getting into the fanfic of it all. So knife play is a pretty popular tag, I would say. I'm blessed with Archive of Our Own because they make it pretty easy actually for you to look up various stats. So there are 11,162 works tagged as knife play.
Holy shit.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So it is, and that's probably why when Emily first brought it up to me, I went, yeah, because it's around.
It's a lot, yeah.
It's a thing. And the other lovely thing that I enjoy about Archive of Our Own is if you're an author and you're posting your fic and you are adding tags, you can kind of type out whatever you'd like.
That's cool.
And so there's knife play, but then I found some other tags that I particularly enjoyed, such as platonic knife play.
Oh, what does
What
that
the
even-
hell is
so,
that?
Tender knife play. Like, all right, it's knife play, but it's low key though.
But it's low
That's
key.
the whole hashtag?
That's the whole that's the whole
Wow.
tag for that. Yeah.
I am so curious about platonic knife.
That just feels like a
play.
waste of time.
Do you want me? I can pull it
I
up.
feel
really
like that's
quickly.
two people. Here's what I think platonic knife play
Yes,
is.
I wanna know
think
while
it's
I pull it up.
Two people sitting on a couch watching TV. One of them pulls out a switchblade
Yeah.
and starts dragging the tip of it along the leg of the other.
And that's
just
Like
don't see
making
that as
like
not
making
sexual.
That
making
feels
like a
sexual to me.
picture. No, I think it's like a
No, I think it's immediately
no, guys,
flirty
it's
at very least.
platonic.
No.
Or like, you know, when like you'd be at play rehearsal in like 8th grade and everyone wore ripped jeans and you would like be drawing like a little stick figure in the hole of someone's ripped jean
I
on their
only
knee.
did that when I was flirting, so I don't. That's very
Oh, God.
platonic.
Oh God.
That's not platonic.
My whole life has been a lie. I think everything I do is platonic until someone tells me it's
I
not.
get that. I guess I could see
I
like,
feel like that's a true thing, by the way.
I could see drawing in people's like jean holes.
So
like,
that's what I'm thinking of, like with a knife.
But that I just don't. I think. Once
But you don't draw
involve
blood. It's like you
knife,
raise skin.
That still sounds sexual to me.
Okay, or what about like zhuzhing someone's arm? It depends. When I say zhuzhing, I mean rubbing your nails up and down someone's arm, and you end up. It's very like a lot of guys like that. A lot of guys like
They
their
do.
back scratched. They like their arm scratched. After a while, there will be a raised red line.
Yeah.
On their. So I feel like that is similar. Maybe a lot of guys like knife play because they like that.
Steve Rogers and Natasha Romanoff from Captain America. They're not a romantic.
it's
They're not a
platonic.
romantic pairing because
It's
they're
platonic.
an ampersand in this tag. They're
Not
just
a slash,
friends.
as I learned. Not
They're
a
just
slash.
friends, and that makes sense because she is a secret agent. She just might have a knife, and they're just playing with knives. And it's platonic.
Okay, yeah, I feel like it's
Platonic knife
platonic if you're fighting with knives.
No. Just like handling knives with each other, like buddies do.
Like in Mr. Right, when they're throwing knives back and forth.
Yeah,
Plug for
that's
Mr.
what I
Right,
mean, like,
one of my favorite movies.
Throwing them,
Rom-coms.
throwing them at a wall, tossing them between each other.
Right,
That's
okay,
good.
okay, yeah,
But I
I'll
feel
take
like
that.
the
I like
second-
mine better.
The second it's on their body, I'm like, that is sexual.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I just feel like it's such an intimate, trusting touch.
I want to
just- yeah,
say,
I
Sean,
can't imagine.
everything I've done towards you is platonic. I just want to.
I mean, I know that.
Every time I touch a knife onto you,
Sean, that one time that I held a switchblade to your throat,
That was so platonic.
it was incredibly platonic.
That's just threatening. But
It was out of friendship.
I think the main thing is I would just need to read a piece of fiction. I'll have to look it up because like I need to read.
Oh, you'll
a-
be reading these because
Yes.
Okay,
After
okay.
I get done with my description, you're gonna be like, yeah.
But I just need to read one, and then I feel like if I read it, I can be like, got it. That's platonic.
Yes.
Oh,
So to get back into the stats, the first ever knife play fic on AO3 was posted in May of 2009 by an author named Estifi, and it was Stargate Atlantis was the fandom. I will be exploring a fic from one of my favorite fandoms, but also the fandom that has the second most knife play on AO3, which is Hannibal, specifically the NBC television show. Sean, what do you know of the show Hannibal?
I have seen some of season 1. You've shown it to me.
Yes.
He's a cannibal.
Good job.
And he murders people and eats them.
Hannibal is.
And he was a psychiatrist, right? I knew he worked in mental health.
Yep.
But that's kind of the extent that I know. This was like his origin story.
Yes, a little bit.
Kinda,
So NBC's Hannibal came out, it was 2013 to 2015, and it was based around, at the beginning, the characters in the book Red Dragon. So Hannibal Lecter comes from a series of 4 books, Red Dragon, then Silence of the Lambs, which is the one that most people know, and several others that I won't get into, but it's one of my favorite book series. And so basically in Red Dragon, there's Hannibal Lecter and then there's Will Graham. And Will Graham is a detective. And basically in Red Dragon, you know that Will Graham and Hannibal were like colleagues.
It's such a good movie.
It's a really, really good movie. Edward Norton and Anthony Hopkins and Ray Fiennes are in it. But you basically know at the beginning, like, Hannibal and Will Graham were like friends or colleagues, and Will Graham ultimately was the one that put it together and put Hannibal Lecter in jail, but not before getting stabbed and traumatized.
Spoiler.
I know. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
But
we should also put a
that's
spoiler
also, like,
tag in front of it.
If you haven't seen if you haven't seen the beginning of 2002's Red Dragon,
Get on it.
catch up. And so basically, but you then, Will Graham in Red Dragon is just then trying to solve a mystery with the help of Hannibal Lecter, kind of similar to Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
NBC's Hannibal is like, well, these two guys clearly knew each other and worked together before all of this happened.
What was that like?
It's kind of
Let's take it back.
fan-fiction-y.
Yeah.
NBC's Hannibal is Brian Fuller, who made like Pushing Daisies and that kind of thing. It's him going, so what was that?
Yeah.
So it's very much about exploring this relationship between these two people. And Hannibal Lecter, as you've already covered, he's a psychiatrist. He's very well regarded. He's a very good cook, canonically, and he's a cannibal. And so he will cook his victims into food and throw dinner parties.
Like beautiful meals.
Beautiful meals. And he is also friends with many FBI agents. Jack Crawford, who's Will Graham's boss, basically hooks Hannibal and Will Graham up and is like, Hannibal, you're a psychiatrist.
Gotcha.
Help my broken friend.
Oh, no.
Will Graham is an empath and a behavioral analyst, and he can get into the minds of killers, but sometimes he goes too deep. And how does he do that? And he feels very fucked up and conflicted about it because he's like, I'm putting myself in the shoes of a killer, and what if I'm a killer?
So it's those two. Okay.
And and so then Hannibal Lecter is like, well, I will help you with your brain. But really, he's like, I can push you deeper into your fucked up impulses, and it's going to be fun for me. Yep. And it basically becomes, over 3 or 4 seasons, these two very traumatizing men dancing around each other.
I'd say one is bad. He was murdering and eating people.
Yeah.
The air now? Is it canceled?
It is, much to the horror of fans.
Okay.
There was like a whole... This was one of those fandoms where the creators realized that they had a huge fan fiction, a huge Tumblr following, and they really engaged with the fans. So it has a huge following, and it's really appealing to people, I think, because it's very centered around... There's these fucked up things about me that I'm very ashamed of, and you are the only person that I could potentially talk to about these things, that could potentially understand me, and that would understand the fucked upness of me, just like I understand the fucked upness of you.
That's a very relatable thing.
Yes. Yeah. And so, but also it's very beautiful, it's very well written, it's very dark, and it was on NBC.
Which is crazy.
I
remember when you showed it to me, I couldn't believe this was on, like, cable.
Yes, exactly. And so I'm just going to read a quick quote from the creator, Brian Fuller.
Okay.
This is a love story.
Oh my God.
A love story between a full-fledged psychopath and someone who has nascent psychopathic abilities. Hannibal Lecter is actually not a psychopath. He's something else entirely. But it's a love relationship between two men. One of them is a cannibal, and one of them understands those instincts all too well. And that's the creator of the show.
Wow.
So, most of the fics about this
Yeah.
Our love story.
are love stories.
That makes sense.
Where it's like, but what if Will did start killing people?
Oh my God.
Or what if Hannibal, like, didn't eat quite so many people and Will did it with him? So the fic that I'm going to do is called Blackbird. And I actually found this one because I went on AO3 and I sorted it because I wanted to see what is the fic that has the most kudos that is tagged knife play. And it was
Gotcha.
this fic. And I was like, oh my God. Because I read it when it was posted back in 2014.
Oh my God.
And then I forgot about it. And I think it might be one of the first times I ever encountered knife play.
Okay.
It was made by, the username is Emungere, Emungere. And their name is actually Eleanor Cos, and they are now a romance writer.
That's so cool.
I found their website. So if you are
for them.
interested, check them out. It looks like they do mainly male or female pairings. So if that's your thing, go for it. It is 15 chapters, 888,992 words, and it has 276,718 hits.
Wow.
Meaning that's how many people have clicked on and presumably read this.
How many words did you say? 888.
1,992 words.
That is incredibly long.
So many words.
That is incredibly long.
That is a typical, I would say that's a typical multi-chapter.
That's crazy.
It's 15 chapters. I read it between yesterday and today. But I also had read it when I started reading it.
But you've read it before.
I
yeah.
realized that I had read it at least twice before.
Oh my God. That's so funny.
So yes, so that's what this fic is. And knife play is an essential part of this story because Hannibal and Will are in Hannibal's kitchen, and Hannibal is cooking Will dinner, as you do.
Classic.
And they're talking about Will's mental health.
Okay.
As you do. And this is one of the things that I think genuinely is very appealing to people about this pairing is in the show, a lot of the conversations are just the two of them staring at each other.
It's true.
Talking very truthfully about their feelings and their mental health. And it's very appealing to people.
Oh, yeah.
And so a lot of this fic is these two men being like, I think this fucked up thing. And the other guy going, yeah, it's okay. I think this fucked up thing too. And that's a lot of it. And so they're in the kitchen and they say something. And Will says something which is very typical for this show. He mentions that he got too close to a crime scene, of course, and it's made him wonder if he were to kill somebody, how would he kill them? Obviously.
We've all had that thought before.
We've all been there.
1,000%.
That's not even a joke. I think
we all have.
I think everyone-
I think I have a great
it's-
plan of how to kill someone.
I think it's kind of natural to
It'll come out in further episodes.
to wonder about it.
I also think often, like, how would that person kill me?
Yeah.
And then I think I wouldn't because
I'm
like
not a monster.
well, no, I meant like I would be able to see it coming from a mile away.
Oh, you're too smart for
Too
them?
smart for them.
No.
Okay.
And very wily.
You're
I would die.
wily like a fox.
Yeah, Sean.
I would die.
You would.
But again, I think they wouldn't kill me. I would trip.
Yeah, you would trip. You would trip on your way to drinking the poison that they
bus
gave you.
would take me out.
And they go, well,
Potato.
Potato.
She's taken care of.
okay, but back to the
Yeah,
summary.
yeah.
They're talking about their mental health.
We're
Yada,
talking
yada,
about
yada.
mental health. This is
Blah, blah, blah.
this is like page 10, right? This is the
Okay.
beginning of this
Okay.
fic. Hannibal, who was chopping vegetables, hands Will the knife and then moves Will's hand with the knife to Hannibal's own throat. And Will, then it's like Will's POV, and he goes through a whole thing being like, this is weird. Do I like this? Why do I like this? Why am I feeling what are these feelings inside of me? Oh my God. And he describes it as thrilling and terrifying. And then they describe the rest of their dinner where basically they're quietly eating, but it's Will's entire inner monologue of like, what does this mean about me? What's going on? And then Hannibal, in true therapist fashion goes, how did that make you feel? And Will tells him that, and he's like, well, how did it make you feel? Like, didn't you feel scared? And Hannibal goes, no, I saw someone who was wrestling with themselves and was very, very powerful in that they were understanding what they were going through, and they weren't afraid of themselves. They were sitting in their power. And I found that very attractive. And so this is the catalyst to their relationship becoming this, like, sexual thing. This is the opener.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Emily.
does this whole thing take place over the dinner?
That conversation happens while they're
Oh,
eating
not the
dinner
whole
together.
fic, though.
No.
Okay.
No. So the fic basically follows season 1 of Hannibal.
Okay.
So it basically opens, like, at where probably episode 3 or 4 would sit.
Okay.
And then kind of runs parallel to that plot line.
And for the record, I've only seen, I think all of episode 1.
Yeah.
Like 5 years ago.
Well, I don't want to, because I genuinely love this show and think everyone should watch it. So I'm not going to get deep into the plot.
For sure.
But
Yeah.
basically what happens through season 1 is Will and Hannibal kind of, like, get to know each other,
Okay.
start doing this dance of, oh, we might have some mutual respect here. You might be able to help me with my thing. I might be able to help you with yours. And at the same time, they're, like, hunting down and solving a murder.
Okay.
Basically. That is a very abridged version. but essentially, then it's their relationship is developing. Most of it is smut. It's very fun. It's very kinky, but there's a lot of scenes of them negotiating. They figure out
You're back to the fiction right now. So this season
no,
1.
No,
I just want to make sure. Okay.
But so the title of the fic is Blackbird.
Uh-huh.
Will's safe word is Blackbird.
Gotcha.
And so then there's another penultimate scene of knife play, and it is Hannibal tells Will a very personal story, which is canon to the book series and the show, where Hannibal's family was killed, and Hannibal and his sister are kind of left.
Yeah.
And Hannibal, this varies based on, like, movies or books, but basically in this, Hannibal kills the people who killed his
Get
family.
Revenge.
Gotcha.
And this is his first time ever killing. And so he tells this story to Will. It's very personal. It's like him opening up about something that he hasn't been willing to talk to Will about previously in the fic. And then he's like, I just opened up to you and I want to do something that I know that you wanted to do. And he leads Will into this room where he has sterilized a knife with a clean towel and medical supplies. Because also Hannibal is canonically he was a surgeon before he was a psychiatrist. So
Okay.
he knows these things. Cleanliness is very important to him.
Oh my God.
And he's like, I trust you to put this mark on me. I
Okay.
trust you to do this for me. And Will is very turned on by all of it. And then it moves more into, like, the marking territory of,
Okay.
like, I want you to do, like, a shallow line. And Will is like, oh my God, you're letting me do this. You're letting me do this. Oh my God. And Hannibal is like, I want you to do like a very small cut somewhere visible.
Oh, okay.
And Will's like, but everyone will see. And he's like, I want everyone to see.
So it's not like a mark. It's not like a picture. Or
No,
he's not
it's
making an
literally
image.
just
It's
little
a mark.
specific
Okay.
little
markings.
scars that only the two of them will know.
Got it.
Okay.
We'll know what it is.
What they
Yeah.
are. But it's an outward symbol of their relationship.
Interesting.
And I pulled a quote. At the very beginning of this, Will is freaking out because he's afraid that he's going to fuck up and that he's going to cut
Yeah,
too
it's a
deep.
knife.
And it's Hannibal.
It's a knife, buddy.
Yeah. Hannibal kissed his forehead. I won't let you hurt me. I promise. You are perfectly safe. Don't you believe me?
Wow.
And so
Okay.
it's this genuinely very loving scene.
That is very sweet.
That is
actually.
so interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because what I'm going to tell you later is not that at all. Well,
Yeah.
I guess so.
But for Hannibal in the fic, it's all about unlocking the parts of Will that he's ashamed of. He's ashamed of these kind of animal killer
Yeah.
impulses.
Yeah.
And
Violent.
Hannibal's like, well, I'm this way too. I'm going to show you that you're safe with me. You
Yeah.
can do this with me and it's okay. And I'm not going to judge you and I'm not going to be afraid of you for these things.
I really like that it's Will in control of all of that.
Me too.
I
It makes
like
me
that.
less worried.
Same, yeah.
Yeah.
Like the other person is in charge of where it's marked, but the person is in charge of the cutting, who's like afraid and new. Like, I like that more.
Yeah, and Hannibal is the one going, I'm going to set up this scenario.
Yeah.
And I'm going to lead you to it and facilitate it, but I'm going to hand you the knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like I pulled another quote. It's Will saying, I want to see you, every part of you. You will, Hannibal said. You don't understand, Will said. I want to see your bones.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Isn't that romantic?
But what did Hannibal say?
Hannibal only smiled at him, a restrained expression of pleased benevolence. Show me, he said.
So then he cut to his bone?
No. It was metaphorical.
Oh.
But it was
what
very,
a bummer. No, kidding.
Yeah.
But very much like it's that thing, that possessive thing.
Yeah.
I want to see
All of you.
all the grossness, all the things that you're afraid of, that you think I'm not going to like.
Give me your worst.
Give me those things.
I think just the phrasing of it in conjunction with the knife.
No. Fair.
Oh, boy.
Fair.
Yeah.
But that's also very typical of this
kind of thing.
Well, and also because the show, that would be not unheard of for that kind of phrase to happen for like one of those characters. That's just how they talk. But yeah, so what I liked about this specific portrayal is I felt like it was relatively speaking fairly safe.
Definitely.
In that there was
This portrayal of knife play.
This portrayal of knife play.
Got it.
In that there was a lot of emphasis on communication, consent, safe words, literally sterilizing the knife, things like that a lot of times get skipped over. And as someone who has like done some research in this space, it's gotten to a point where if I'm not seeing those things, I get a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah. So that helps me feel comfortable reading things like knife play. And then it's literally, it's not a violent, like I'm going to hurt you or I want to see your pain thing, although it is a little bit because he's a psychopathic cannibal, and so he does get off on that a little bit.
A little bit of.
But it's the writing itself is very focused on their relationship, and this is just a tool for us to be our true selves to each other. Yeah, and this is a tool for us to like show how much we trust each other and become who we're meant to be. Yeah, and I really liked that as a thing.
I've always kind of enjoyed the thing of like, let's do something super extreme to like prove to each other, which not in real life, like in books. Cause I'm like, yeah, cause they're already fucking crazy. Everyone I read about is crazy. Let's be honest. Like, so, but I will say kudos to Eleanor Koss. Eleanor Koss. Because she made that sound very nice. Like
romantic.
Romantic. Like in a nice way, not like in a, I bleed for you.
No,
Yeah, and there is the marking element. There is the fear play element. Like that all is there, but there's no question that the internal motivation of the characters is
love.
Like connection and love and trust, and this is a tool for that.
I was not expecting that. Like I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Give me more thoughts.
I mean, again, like I think the biggest thing for me was the fact that Will was in control, because I think when I picture knife play, I picture victimizing someone, which is probably unfair to that community, but I think that there's the inherent danger of a knife. So I just imagine like fear play. So I just imagine immediately that it's like, I have a knife, you are scared.
Yeah.
That's the idea, which I'm sure is a thing.
But people are into that.
And they're into it, yeah. But I don't think I would enjoy reading that.
And in this case, the fear play for Will was being afraid of hurting his partner and being afraid of the power of wielding this thing.
And so I don't think I could see myself ever being into reading about someone being like afraid and under a knife and that kind of thing. Like that's what I was expecting. And so to hear that it was like he was afraid of having power over someone and afraid of hurting them, and the other person being like, no, I'm in control of this. Don't like. I was like, that was actually really lovely. Like, I don't know if I'd seek it out, but I wasn't expecting to be like charmed by it. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. It's that's one of the reasons it's one of my favorite fics, because it to me is much more indicative of what, like, if you're actually doing this kind of thing in real life, which not many people do, but if you are and you truly like love your partner, there are some elements in this that I think are very true to life, and that makes me very happy.
And I want to be clear, like I'm not kink shaming anyone if they want to be under a knife because they like being afraid. I just don't see it as something appealing to read. Yeah. But so I'm surprised. Yeah,
I feel like I did good.
You did. Whoa, what a ride.
Would you like, yes or no, would you want to read hers?
To be honest, I don't think so. Like,
No?
I don't know if I'd have to think about it. It's not my first instinct wasn't like, I gotta see where that goes. I think I was just more charmed by it than I
See,
expected.
and funnily enough, I'm like, I want to see
I
what
might.
that's like.
Yeah. I don't know.
The
I have to
link
think about
is
it.
in the shared
Yeah.
doc that we made. So if
Yeah,
you want to
Because
check
I'm
it out.
so intrigued by the framing of a nice
Same.
knife play.
Yes.
Of
So
a
I think
knife-
I'm
it's
intrigued.
nice.
So
It's
honestly,
nice.
I think I might read it because I'm definitely intrigued. But I
maybe
wasn't
just those,
expecting that.
because like I don't care about feelings. So like maybe just like
I
skip
love
past
the
that part
feelings.
and like
Because also, like, especially
can't
now
escape
hearing that the
feelings.
creator of that show basically was like, I'm writing a fan fiction that's going to become a network television show.
Yes.
I'm so much more intrigued about listening to people that actually took it to a romantic place.
Oh yeah, and there are a lot of them.
sure.
There are
Yeah.
a lot of them, and it was even. And I know we need to get to Emily your thing, but I could talk about this
okay.
forever because even like the actors Hugh Dancy and Mads Mikkelsen very gleefully,
Oh,
cheekily
yes.
were like. Yeah, they might like each other. Like Mads Mikkelsen, in like an interview, talked about having read some of the fanfic.
Yeah.
like they were
That's
very
so
much like,
cute.
and and it does get, in my view, progressively hornier. Like the looks
believe
get
that.
longer, and the last episode is very horny. And there's people being like, "Yeah, Hugh and Mads like thought that they should like do a couple takes where they kissed, but like we couldn't go that far because it's NBC, and
See,
so we
that
couldn't
pisses
do
me
it."
off.
And so it's one of those things that they also, whether that's true or not, they very much fed into the fans
Yeah.
being like, we know what you're doing. But also Brian Fuller, it felt like
clearly
very
wanted
much
that, yeah.
was like, great, this is exactly what I was trying to do.
who's the guy that plays Hugh Dancy?
Hugh Dancy.
He is so cute.
He's so cute.
Yeah.
He's so cute. And then Mads Mikkelsen, this was one of his, I think, one of the first things I ever saw him in.
Yeah.
And he's a very different kind of attractive, but
But he's still
attracted to
very
him.
attractive.
That was a great synop.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And look into knife play. Knife play.
Knife
Knife play.
Knife play.
Yep.
And the Hannibal fandom, because it's a lovely bunch of folks.
It really
It
sounds
sounds,
like it.
I really enjoy, even if I don't enjoy the actual fandom or like the show it's based off of, I love hearing stories. And I love it when, because you've told me stories multiple times about like things fandoms have done. I just love like the behind the scenes shit like that. And it makes me really happy.
Tumblr was a safe, happy place.
I never broke into Tumblr because I thought that was the last, like if I did that, it was all over for
you
me.
never had
It's
a Tumblr.
I never
Still
had,
my safe,
okay, but
happy
you know
place.
me as a person and think
do.
of like I would have been, I'm not gonna say I'm an obsessive person, but I would have been glued to my
I just think you would have had so
computer.
much fun with it.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
would have.
I love Tumblr.
So, Emily, we blew Sean's mind with soft, loving knife play.
I was not. I
Get
was
ready for the opposite.
I was expecting violence. All right, I'm ready.
I will say I've been thinking about my relationship, and I'll put this out there. I've never tried this. I don't have any desire to. But my relationship with knife play is interesting because I've always wanted to own a knife.
This is a true fact.
Which, fun fact, it is illegal. Certain knives are illegal in Illinois.
Oh.
And I want to go on record. I do not own anything illegal and probably never will unless you know someone. But I did wake up once in like when I was like 12 at a sleepover. My friends were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I used to sleep talk, and they were like, "Yeah, in your sleep you said, 'Hand me the dagger.'" So it started at a young age that I guess I've always wanted some sort of like bejeweled dagger.
I love that. for
Or
you.
like
Yeah.
a button knife, as I call it, which is, I think it's called a switchblade.
Yes.
where you
Yeah,
where you
where you
pop-
push a button and
push
it
a button
goes
and it pops
pop.
out.
Yeah.
Only because I would love to like cut open a box with it. I don't want.
Yeah.
I have no ill will towards anything or anyone.
Uh-huh. You don't want to cut up a person.
I don't want to cut a person. I want to
Cut a box.
I want there to be like, can't get this. My shoes are in this box, and then I'll be like, what?
As
And
someone who lives with someone who has two knives like
Yeah.
that, it is the most handy thing.
and
for
neither
Amazon
are
packages.
illegal. I just want to put that
Neither
out.
of them are illegal. No,
Yep.
I don't think so. I've never asked.
So I started reading one book, which is what I mentioned earlier in the episode. It was the first book that I read that involved knife play, and then I remembered about like 4 chapters in that I didn't care for this book.
Oh, good.
So I stopped reading it. And it is nothing against the author. The book is called Promises and Pomegranates by
I've read this
Sav
one as
Miller.
well.
Sav R. Miller. And I thought I would really like it because it was a Persephone and Hades retelling. And that one, like real quick, is just, it's a very vague retelling of it. Like it's just based on kind of things. It's like a mafia princess and a fixer, and he's like a bad guy, and they fall in love and da-da-da. But he's very kind of like abusive to her, but she likes it, but she doesn't know, and it's very dark knife play.
Okay.
And so I started reading that, and I was like, I don't want to read something that I feel like I have to read.
For sure.
And so I mentioned this in our intro episode, I think, and maybe the Sean's episode, but I went to the first book where I read it, where with that involved knife play, that I was like, oh, which is Wicked Night by Tracy Lorraine. And it is part of the Knight's Ridge series, which there are now 12 of.
Oh, wow.
Every 3 books is about a different couple. So the first 3 books is Stella and Sebastian. The next 3 are Theo. It's about, I won't say the girls just in case. The next 3 are about Theo. And then the next 3 after that are about Toby, who are all in this gang. So published in October of 2021. It's at 408 pages, and it's a dual POV. So that means there are chapters written in Stella's point of view and Sebastian's.
Gotcha.
And it takes place in London. They're all 18 or 19 years old.
Okay.
So they're all in their like last year of like uni, with like high school basically. Yeah. And like right off. And Stella is American.
Okay.
Her dad is British. Everyone else is British in this book.
Got it.
And I don't know how I found this. I like stumbled. I think this was in my like very big mafia phase. So it probably was just, as a lot of things are, recommended to me on Amazon. So I found it and I was like, oh. And overall, like in comparison to all the other ones, this is maybe my least favorite.
Oh, okay.
But it's an introduction to the world, and I was like, I do, even if I'm not crazy about a book, if it ends on a cliffhanger, I'm like, well, I gotta keep going. I invested this much time into it, I gotta keep going. So that's how that happened. But basically, Stella and her dad moved to London, and she is enrolled in Knight's Ridge. I want to say it. I think they call it university.
I think it's college for high school, and uni is.
So, but I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna say high school, just so for our American brains.
Yes.
So like I don't mess myself up.
For sure.
And I also like this, I think, with a lot of books, but especially these ones, all the girls are always very like strong-willed, and they already have a lot of training. Think like Buffy, like very fit, like they just know how to throw a punch, which always makes me want to like, I should go do a kickboxing class or something. So she's been trained from a young age, just because her dad always wanted her to like be ready for anything. And she does gymnastics, she does all this. And even before the book starts, we learn that as she moved there, she went walking like on her first day, one of her first days there, went to a cemetery, saw this guy, and they had sex in the cemetery.
Wow.
And
all right.
so then chapter 1 starts with her starting school. And she was like, God, I wonder if that guy will be at this school. Like, that was a crazy night, but like, oh, summer fun. Yeah. So it starts like that. And you're like, what the fuck? Little did I know there's a 0.5 book. That actually, yeah. But I didn't know that. So.
Got it.
I kind of would love it if it was just like a throwaway. I feel like that really kind of sets
Oh,
the
yeah.
I know.
We had sex in the cemetery.
But that's how I read it. That's how I read it.
I
As a
love
throw.
that.
And I was like, cool.
Time to go to bio.
Yeah, exactly.
She sees the popular guys, and they're all like very imposing. There's like 6 of them. They're really big, scary, gorgeous looking men, as they usually are in these books.
Surprise.
And again, surprise, surprise, one of the main guys, like one of the leaders, is the guy that she fucked in the cemetery. And he's looking at her
Been
with like
there.
true hatred. And she's like, what? And so the next few chapters are her basically navigating this high school. And he talks to his friends. We find out that Sebastian, last name Papatonis, and Stella's last name is Dukas.
Wow.
And they are both Greek surnames.
That was what I was going to ask. Thank
But
you.
they're both. It's based in London, and she's American.
Well, Greek people can live anywhere, Sean.
I know. I just love the. No, they can't, Emily.
They can.
I want to come out now. Is this no? This is the hill I will die on. No, it's the coincidence.
Yes.
Didn't you say they were in the mafia?
So we find out that Sebastian is part of the Cirillo crime family, which
Isn't that Italian?
No, it's Greek.
Okay.
Sounds
It's a
Italian.
Greek. Maybe I think I'm pronouncing it wrong. Cirillo. So it's
okay.
It's definitely Greek.
It's fine.
They talk about it a
trust
lot. And Theo, his best friend, is like the son of the leader, and they were all inducted when they were 16. So they do like little jobs for the mafia, but they're
Right.
going to grow into like being the leaders. And we find out Stella and her dad, they moved when she was a baby because her dad maybe killed Sebastian's dad. So he was fleeing.
no.
And he didn't know that when they fucked in the cemetery, and then he found out her last name.
I was gonna say she didn't even know where he went to school.
No,
or anything.
and Stella doesn't know any of this. Stella doesn't know that her dad might be in the mafia, blah, 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 blah. So they go... They start watching her closely because they're like, well, we're going to like ruin her dad's life. So we got to like ruin her. And I guess I should have also said this. Like the trigger warning in the beginning of this is dubious and consensual acts. Do you know what those both mean? Dubious means like
Suspicious?
she never said no, but she never
okay.
said for consent.
Gotcha.
And non-con is
non-consensual.
non-consensual.
That one I got.
Bullying, knife and blood play, humiliation, and exhibitionism.
Oh damn! All right.
Fun fact, I think the big reason I didn't care for this one out of all of them is I don't like humiliation.
No.
It like really upsets
It's not
me.
my thing.
But so they've been tasked with like kind of watching her, and he starts getting closer. And at one point they're in a car together. He like picks her up in the car. And this is the first instance of knife play, which is first of many. It's like a big thing in their relationship overall.
Okay.
And by the way, I reread this 2 days ago, and then I read the rest of the trilogy in the last like 2 days. So I can tell you a lot. I guess I do have a quote. It's something cold gently pressed against my thigh. This is from Stella's point of view. It basically scratches her skin, leaving light red marks. And that's like the whole first part of it.
Okay.
And that's where I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like it's temperature 1st. It's not like something sharp hit me like a
cold,
pain.
yeah.
It's like something cold. You're in a car, something cold hits your thigh because they're wearing like
The school skirts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting way to do that because like also I started thinking like, well, like would a knife be warm? And if it is warm, like would that hurt? Because it's like hot steel against your skin and
Probably
like
depends on how hot it is.
But I think I
It
liked
wouldn't be warm because of the material. It would be cooler most
Unless
of the
you
time.
heat
you
it.
heat it
Unless
up,
you
yeah.
purposely heat it
But
up.
it's a switchblade is what they all get. All the guys get Cirillo family switchblades when they like get her inducted into the mafia.
Wow.
And she also has a switchblade which is pink because she's a girl.
Gender norm.
Gender
Fine.
norms.
At least she
so-
gets a switchblade.
Yeah, at least she gets a knife.
And she and
It's a brush.
yeah. Oops, it's a nail file. But she talks about it's like her inner monologue of like I should be like really freaked out by this, but like the cold feels so good. The fact that the tip of this is not hurting me, but I can see the mark it's leaving. This like light red mark. Like I know he was there, and it goes like up her thigh, and then it hits her like lace underwear, and then she does a cool like meow 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 meow, and
a cool what now? What does she do?
she gets the knife from his hands.
Okay.
She like does a pops.
A karate.
This is an
chop
audio
type?
medium.
I know. I can't speak. She karate chops his hand basically
God.
and
And
like
what-
grabs the knife.
What sound did that make?
And then of course he's like, oh my God. He's so turned on that she got this knife from him.
Yeah, of
Right.
course.
So, but he still hates her, blah, blah, blah. And then later on there's a party and it gets a lot worse. And they're doing this like game of cat and mouse because there's this other popular girl that hates Stella and he like kind of fucked her, but they're looking at each other and they're kind of dancing with other people. And then there's a lot of manhandling of people too. All the guys will grab the ladies and firemen hold them like over their shoulder and take them somewhere. So they're always like, no, okay. And they just let it happen because they're like, well, like, I know he's not going to hurt me.
Right.
That's fine. They go, it's the party's at one of their houses, and they go into a bedroom. And he takes out Stella's switchblade because she's
that
still
one's
his.
pink, though.
She's still his, so he stole hers.
Oh my God.
And it starts with light scratching as foreplay. She's wearing like a tube top dress or something. So he like pulls it down and then pulls it up, so it meets in the middle. So then he like starts cutting off her undergarments.
Okay.
And like the tip kind of scratches her. Like there's a little bit of blood, but I don't know, it doesn't hurt her.
Like a surface scratch.
She's so turned on by the fact that she's standing there and he's fully dressed.
So it's like a sensation.
It's a sensation play.
thing.
It goes along with the light red marks again. And then they have a very intense sex scene against the wall.
And can I so that was a thing in my fic also was I am naked or almost naked
And you are fully
You are
clothed.
fully clothed.
Yeah, that's a big thing in
That's
a
a
lot of
big
these
thing.
books.
Yeah.
Which I was like, I don't know why, but part of me is like, oh.
I don't know why. That's not
It's a power
It's a
thing.
power play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
As you
yeah,
said,
yeah.
I'm like in my
Yeah,
head.
it's power.
So after that, the knife is like still like around, like at certain points he like holds it to her neck, and it kind of plays into that fear play thing, but because he's like so angry with her, but and you hear the inner monologue of her again, why am I so turned on by this? Like he could kill me. He could kill me, and he said so. He hates my guts, da 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 da, but like I like this. So then it turned from like fear play for me. At first I was like, oh God, to like, oh, this is Debcon. He can tell, like, her body language is very much like, yes. So like I felt okay reading it, if that makes sense. And then they have an intense sex scene, and then he goes a step further, and he's like, hey, so and he calls her a whore, but like she likes it, so he keeps doing it, like that's their dirty talk. Then he goes, well, no one will touch my whore. And then he goes down and on her inner thigh carves his initials.
Oh, wow.
I know. It's like small. I would say probably like the size of the thumb.
Okay.
Like not your whole thumb, the pad of your thumb.
Yeah.
And his initials are SP, so he carves his initials there. The sharp sting of the cut, that's like, it's just a sting. It's not even, it hurts. So it's more than just a scratch, but it's deep enough to draw blood. There's some blood play involved. He like licks it up, but that stays there. And at one point he redoes it, like later on in the book. But that's a way more consensual moment. And she just is like kind of left standing there being like, what just happened? And then she like goes and cleans up, and she's like, well, that's kind of cool. I'm like, I'll give you like a little spoiler for like the next book. She marks him at some point.
I figured, yeah.
And then they turn them into tattoos. So it becomes a thing.
Yeah.
But those are like the big two. The Switchblade definitely plays more parts in the book. Like it's always there. They're always like playing with them, like someone would with a ball.
Like a fidget spinner.
Yes. Oh my God. Switchblades are their
like
fidget spinners.
Dangerous fidget spinner.
Switchblades are fidget spinners. Fun fact.
Tell the kids.
Yeah. What did you think of the thigh carving? Because Sean and I both had very audible reactions,
especially
to that.
upon hearing that it was redone later.
Yeah.
Well, he needed to mark her. So I don't know. No, it's a very, like, rereading it, because I remember that happened. I didn't remember how. And then the scene that happens after is the humiliation scene, which I don't care for.
Okay.
So when I first read that, I was like, I think I was just so shocked by it, because I was like, holy shit. But I think the intent behind it, of you're mine, like I've always enjoyed reading that type of, well, you're mine and I'm yours, like very intense, not ownership, that sounds a little too dom sub, I mean possessiveness,
yeah,
but not toxic, like I think in that it is, but like I like the idea of a non-toxic possessiveness. Does that make sense? Yeah, it just like feeds into they're really fucked up.
Yeah,
both of those characters are very, like, there's a lot of backstory into like their upbringings and things like that, and you find out a lot more about their family. In every pairing, she does a really good job of being like, oh, and also this happened, and you're like, wait, what? Like, this makes so much more sense now. But I think at first it was like, yeah, that tracks for this character. Like, this character would do that, and this character would be turned on by that. So I was shocked, but ultimately not surprised at
how much sense it made.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
But that was my foray into knife play.
Yay. Snaps.
Yeah.
See, for me, that was more what I was expecting with knife play. Was a little bit more of, this is a dangerous situation, but I am turned on by it. But the person who's in power is the one who's putting me in that position.
And weirdly enough, there are more, like in the second series in the next trilogy, there's also knife play, and it's more like, it's a marking thing again. But I had expected it to be more like when I read the book Haunting Adelaide, where there's a gunplay scene.
I'm not a fan of
there is an
Haunting
insertion scene, basically, is what I'll say. And I thought it was going to be like that, and I don't care for that. That really freaks me out.
Yeah.
So I guess ultimately I was okay with it.
Well, no shame. No shame at all.
Yeah.
I think for me, it comes down to the relationship thing.
Me too.
And I feel like that one I would probably be more willing to read, because I would be like, well, this is what I'm getting myself into. Like, I know that this is going to be a kind of fucked up story.
That was the thing I was thinking too. It's like the knife play itself like wasn't horrific. It wasn't like, upsetting to me.
Yeah.
Like, because clearly, again, you were saying the girl was like, I'm enjoying this. I like this.
Yeah.
I think the thing that would freak me out is knowing how, because I love an enemies to lovers, and that very clearly is an enemies to lovers
Yes.
situation.
Oh, all of these are
I
enemies to
think,
lovers.
Yeah.
But I think what scares me as a reader would freak me out is and obviously like the book continues, so I would know it's going to be okay. But the idea that at that point he still wanted to kill her, like that's where that's the part of the knife play that freaks me out, where like the person with the knife who's in control is still like,
But he's
I hate
mad.
her. Yeah, he's mad and
Yeah.
he's angry, and even if he's also enjoying it, there's a part of him that still hates her. And so I think that's where I lose it, because I don't mind the idea of like, I'm so emotional and I can't take it and I need a knife and like, and then they have sex. I feel like that scene with the knife I would have liked so much more if it was at a point where we'd already heard him be like, but maybe she's okay.
I will say, this is a Kindle Unlimited I read on my Kindle, which is percentage wise. I think this point was at like maybe like 50%.
Okay.
So I
About
knew
halfway in.
Yeah, so I knew there was like this much of the book left.
Yeah.
Right. And that helps.
Yeah, and there is a cliffhanger at the end of this book that also involves the switchblade, and not a good way.
Oh no.
Interesting.
And not a sexual way, I should say.
Oh no.
Someone gets stabbed.
Platonic knife play.
Platonic
It
way?
is
What if
platonic with the
platonic
body.
knife play
It's
is just a stabbing.
Somebody,
sorry.
One of the tags that I did not include in my notes, but I remember it because it's so good, was non-consensual knife play, aka stabbing.
Yes. But no, that was way more what I was expecting. But again, I can see the eroticism behind it. Like I can see,
Yeah.
because there was a danger behind it. But again, the entire time it was clear that the woman was enjoying herself, which I think
Right.
is the main thing for me as a reader.
Yeah. It's weird. I want to like recommend those to you two, but I also am like, I know you two. I don't think you would like it, but I think you might like it. But I also
I might start with the second series.
Yeah, if those are better.
Yeah, I think that might be better.
I do that sometimes with those that are like, because I feel like that's a common thing with especially Kindle Unlimiteds, where it's like it's all guys from the same group.
Yes.
And
Yeah. You
each
can-
book is
yeah.
about, and usually when
Yep.
you get to the second or third one, it's like the writer has worked out the kinks a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit
There's
smoother.
still like, it's just good to know that everyone is problematic in this universe.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and so there are things that are like, that's not okay, but ultimately I'm like, I want them to be happy.
Oh,
They
yeah.
have to work
They
through
seem
this not
very
okay
happy.
part, and
They
then they'll
both
get
have knives.
They'll get happy at some point.
And that kind of stuff I feel like I can overlook. It's the same in fanfic. It truly is just the idea of like, but he wants to kill her, and I don't think I could overlook that.
Yeah, so you could feasibly start at book 4, which is
Yeah.
the next of the
next
the next
pairing.
3.
And that was
Yeah.
Toby? Is that what
No,
his
that
last
one
name
was about Theo, who was
Theo.
he's like the leader
I
of
don't know
the,
where I got
of the
Toby
gang.
from.
Oh yeah.
He's the leader of the pack.
All right, I'm into it. Yeah.
Do it.
Would anyone do this ever?
I don't think I would. I don't think I would actually, because the part about the, like when we were talking earlier, zhuzhing the arm, like leaving a light mark. I understand that. I don't want to be cut.
Yeah, I get that.
I don't handle pain well.
If you still want the role play of the danger and the knife play, and this is from my own research, is you agree on it with your partner, you or whoever is receiving is blindfolded, but your partner and you're like, your partner is like, yep, I'm getting the knife, da 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 da. They open the knife so you can hear it. They are like, yep, it's a knife, da 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 da. But then when they're actually touching your body, they're using the side of a credit card
Yes, I
Oh.
remember. Yes,
or something that would mimic the.
You could also buy rubber knives.
Yeah,
which I
like
found.
the
Yeah.
sensation, the pressure, but there is not a risk of you being injured. But that's more if you're interested in kind of the almost like role play, fear play of it, where
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
it's a knife, it's a knife, it's a knife.
It's
It's
gonna
not
touch you,
actually a knife,
but it's gonna touch you.
Yeah, I would do what I just described.
Yeah.
the credit card thing.
With like, yeah, as part of like a
role play.
sensation role play type thing. I have no desire for a weapon to be anywhere near me. I don't
Anything's
think,
a weapon if you make it.
right,
Jess.
right. But I don't think that I would be able to be turned on and in the presence of a man with a knife.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No
that-
matter
I
how
agree.
much I loved that man
I agree.
matter.
or woman, but let's face it, the people holding weapons
Are
and approaching
usually
me
a
are
man.
usually
men.
Yeah.
probably not realistically, but I do love reading knife play. I will say it is one of my favorite tags because it does tend to be in the darker stories that I enjoy.
Same.
I'm same page. I don't think I would ever want to do it. I'm also really bad with pain. So I don't think I could be aroused at the fear of even it going deeper than I expected. I do like the idea of like the sudden touch of something cold.
Like a temperature thing.
Yeah, but it wouldn't need to be a knife.
Like an ice cube.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, I don't know if I would ever. So I don't think I would ever need to role play it as like.
I've seen it.
Because I don't think I would get off on the fear element. But there's something about the coldness of a knife that I could feel being like very like ooh.
Yeah.
But again, I'd rather it not be a knife.
Right.
So no.
Yeah. Right.
So Sean, has there been anything from this episode that you're like, what? I want to hear more about that.
Can we do like a quick review? We can always edit this out, but like, so we touched on mafia stuff. We touched on
stuff
based on a TV show,
serial killers, detective agencies, psychopaths,
bullies, humiliation,
blood play,
non-com,
Hades and Persephone,
exhibitionism,
yeah.
Fear play,
just retellings,
play, ice.
What was that retelling? What?
Like a retelling, like a Mercedes is a retelling.
Oh
of
yeah,
a myth.
that could be good.
Do you want to do specifically?
Is there
Hades and Persephone?
Let's do that. That sounds great.
Oh boy, there's
Oh my god,
I don't know.
How are you gonna pick?
I don't.
You have
know.
so many.
I'm actually a little
overwhelmed.
worried. I think I want to say I have probably read maybe like 85%.
I think you have.
See, I know nothing about this, so this is a
man.
great one.
Oh, I'm gonna have so much to talk about. This is gonna be me next time.
I know.
I'm so excited.
It's gonna be a good choice, Sean.
Yeah. All right. So
guys.
next week,
Hades and Persephone.
Hades and Persephone retelling.
And to close out, Sean, have you been reading,
Sean, do you
reading
read?
anything?
Yes, it's not a romance novel. I can't remember the name of it right now. It's the one you let me.
The Devil in the Sea.
The Devil in the Sea
by Stuart Turton.
Yes.
What's that?
It's
good.
It's a slow burn, but it's basically about these people who have boarded a ship in like 1920. I want to say
No,
1870?
16 like 50.
Wow,
It's like
okay.
real old shit.
Ignore me.
Like
and-
think like Pirates of the Caribbean
East India
era,
Company.
East
Yeah.
India Company.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
I wasn't
era.
tracking the time.
No, that's okay.
And there's a curse on board, and basically they're trying to track down. They think someone is possessed by a demon.
It's by the same guy who wrote the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle.
Which I need. That's next on my list.
It's so
good.
good.
Same.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing. A lot of characters, a lot of different perspectives.
He's an incredible author.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
cool.
what I'm reading right now.
Nice.
Jess, what are you reading?
So, Knife Play took me on a journey through some of my old fandoms. I'm reading one of my favorite Ted Lasso fanfics.
Yes.
So, it's a rare pairing for Ted Lasso. It is Ted Lasso and Trent Krim, the Independent. And basically, it starts with them exchanging emails back and forth. And it's one of my favorite things with fan fiction is you can use media formats instead of just traditional dialogue.
Yes.
So it's emails of Trent and Ted emailing back and forth, and Ted being like, "Hey Trent, I didn't know if you saw the cookies that I left on your desk, but I left them and because a little birdie told me it was your birthday. Happy birthday, Trent." And then it's Trent sending back, "Thank you, Coach Lasso." So it's very charming. It's one of my comfort ones because it's very, very sweet. But it also has smut in it. And the writing, I love those styles. It's very creative. Emily?
Well, I panicked because I knew you were going to ask me this, and I had just finished books, and I didn't have anything on my TBR that I felt like in the mood to.
You felt great with?
I have a pile of like 4 books that I have, and I was like, no, I don't want to read any of those right now. So I went online to look. And I like the author Holly Renee, and she writes the Good Girls series on Kindle Unlimited, as well as the Boys of Claremont Bay series, which I have read both, and I love both. And she has written a fantasy romance called A Kingdom of Stars and Shadow.
Ooh, that sounds good.
It is a duology, and I saw it a while back, and I wanted to read it, and so I decided to pull the trigger. And that's also on Kindle Unlimited.
So we will be back with Hades and Persephone. Just a couple of raccoons
Talking about the best trash in town. Bye.
Bye.